it's Shana. Welcome to Controlled Chaos, the podcast where we dive into the world of recovery, sharing stories of experience, strength, and hope from those who have been there and made it through. No matter where you are in your battle with addiction, alcoholism, or mental health struggles, know that there is a way out. Throughout my sobriety journey, I have often felt alone and doubted my ability to even stay sober. Starting this podcast in my room just 2 months ago, I had a dream of reaching people just like me, those who felt hopeless. As a woman in recovery, I began with 0 followers, but with a dream of offering hope to even just one person. The mission of this podcast is to connect, inspire, and provide hope to those feeling lost or struggling with addiction. Remember, the opposite of addiction and isolation is sobriety and connection. Let's come together through the Controlled Chaos podcast and support each other on the journey to healing and growth. Hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and let's build a community of support and understanding. Love you mucho. Welcome to Controlled Chaos. I'm your host, Shana, and today we have with us somebody I'm so excited about. This is like a pinch me moment. We have Dr. Robb. Can you go ahead and tell us just a little bit about yourself for those who don't know, which I'm sure most people in this, sobriety land probably know, but go ahead.
Thanks, Shana. Hey guys, my name is Dr. Robb Kelly. I specialize in addiction, childhood trauma, depression, weight loss, all the stuff that we struggle through in life. Been in the industry for about 30 years, over 8,000 patients, 6 offices around the world, do a lot of TV, a lot of books, and 25% of what we do is pro bono, giving back to the community. And I love giving back and helping people. And I'm living the dream today instead of dreaming of living. We'll get into that later, but yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I love that. So when I actually started following you, I was still struggling a lot with alcoholism, addiction, and I was actually all the way up to like 320 pounds. And I had just kind of started working on getting sober, losing weight. I had had the gastric sleeve and lost a lot of weight. And somehow you came up and you had started losing a ton of weight and all of this stuff. So I was like following your journey and doing my thing at the same time. And it was really cool. So can you tell us like what brought you to your own like journey as far as health and wellness?
I've blown up to 350 pounds. I've been fit most of my life. About 3 years ago, I was sick of dieting and stuff. So I kind of stopped it, and slowly but surely it crept on. And at the age of 60, almost 2 years ago, I decided to change my life. I've got everything else I want. I'm helping people. My life is crazy, amazing. And yet I'm carrying 350 pounds, which can't be good for my heart. So I had the bypass done. And then I follow a healthy diet today. And I've lost about, I want to say 157 as of this morning. And I'm stable there right now. So I feel amazing. I pulled away from TV. I used to have a daily show in Dallas, Texas that I was on 3 or 4 times a week called Eye Open. It was a syndicated show. I pulled away after seeing myself on camera. Because I never watch anything. I've never read my book. I've never done, I don't watch podcasts. I just never watch myself. But when I saw myself on TV, I was horrified. So I stopped all TV, and I concentrated on me for about 18 months. And this is the end result. So yeah, awesome journey.
Yay, I love that. I love when people who work with other people also get on a journey of like self-awareness and working on yourself, because a lot of people like us who work with people, you get lost and you get kind of overrun, right? Like you're not taking care of yourself because you're out here doing all this other stuff and you kind of fall by the wayside. So it's really cool to see people seeing themselves not doing well and kind of checking in and being like, hey, I need to fix this, right?
Yeah, every time we work with somebody, they take a piece of you away. And I'm the kind of guy, we've worked so hard to crack the addiction code and the depression and bipolar and childhood trauma, that we have a 98%, I think now, success rate, which the nearest one to us in this industry is probably 7%. So we're very, very serious about what we do. We're very aggressive about the program and saving lives. So we're that aggressive. If someone does relapse on the journey, I take it personally, and I'm either flying over there, or if they go missing, I'm awake for nights, just sleepless nights, worrying about them. So yeah, they take a piece of me away, and of course, we're always helping people. We're kind of not in the spotlight, but 90% of our patients are in the spotlight. So that in itself, when you go out there, you've got to sneak in, you got to sneak out. It's just drains you.
Mhm.
And everyone sees me on planes and on private jets and like, oh my God, I wish I had a life like yours. And it's like anything else. You attain to be someone or do something. Let's say a musician, you want to play on stage with a band. And all of a sudden you finally get there and you're on stage every night playing. And after about 2 or 3 months, it becomes a pain in the ass because it becomes work. So the planes and nothing, the drive there, we get chauffeur cars everywhere that they pay for. But again, it's tiring. We did Cali 2 days ago, there and back in the same day, because of workload. But when somebody flies you in and wants to sit down with you for an hour and flies you back, I have to jump, unfortunately, to these guys. But yeah, it's tiring. But I mean, I'm not moaning. I still love my job, and I won't swap it for anybody. It's just that, like you said, people take stuff away from you, and all of a sudden you're struggling with something, and you
Right.
think, like I've been on with this guy for like 2 days. I've been at it. It's like I'm not getting everything I need because I'm not concentrating on me, and I think that's
Right.
why I concentrate on me.
It's amazing being able to help people, but it's also draining because it's hard and it's a lot. And sometimes those people aren't always as ready as we are, right? Okay, so one thing that I wanted to ask you is I've seen a lot of stuff about the brain and work that you're doing around that type of thing. What's going on with that? What do you have going on? And how does
Well,
that help as far as addiction?
Well, when you look at it, let's talk about addiction. When you look at addiction and alcoholism, which are two different things, alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. So one has the addictive personality, which is drug addiction, and the other one is the predisposition passed down from generation with an allergy attached to it. So it's completely different. Three parts of the brain differ in alcoholics that don't particularly differ in drug addicts. 90% of people that were coming to us started in the doctor's office that were drug addicts. Okay, so we really wanted to find out from my loss and my homelessness, found out exactly what's going on here, and nobody had the answer. So about, I don't know how many years ago, we delved into the neuroscience behind this, because everything I touched as a young guy turned to gold. I was a big bodybuilder. I was also a fighter. I run my own business. I drove Porsche 911s. I lived in and all of a sudden alcohol would knock me back every time. And I was bemused how my children got taken off me and I ended up homeless. So when I came back, I wanted to dive in. So I think we're the only company that's put so many hours in, or should I say so many hours into the research. This is what we found. And let's just say alcoholic, but I mean both. Alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism, and the same with drug addiction. It's not the problem. The problem is my basal ganglia, hypothalamus, and amygdala are broke. And that's what happens with the alcoholic when they're born this way. If they are not fixed, I will die. I will repeat the same patterns of behavior. So we look at the brain, we look at the neural pathways that are self-sabotaging, we look at the three parts that differ. We go back to the gateway drug, which is childhood trauma, and we clear that up. Now, childhood trauma in a therapist's office, car crash, divorce, and stuff like that, anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse, is what we found in the 30 years we've been studying. The new therapists around are probably jumping up and down now, going, no, stop it, will you already? Come back to me, you've got a 97% success rate, please, with 8,000 patients. So when you clear that up, you have the answer to the subconscious and the conscious brain. The subconscious brain wakes you up every morning, wants to kill you. It's the easiest way to put it. Just wants to kill you, okay? So we introduce breath work and mirror work and teeth work. And what happens is first thing in the morning, we do our breath work is we kill the subconscious and the conscious brain's running the show. While this guy's running the show, it's impossible to relapse. While this guy's running the show, it's impossible to fail at anything you want to do. The mind is that powerful. So the subconscious brain gets put back here somewhere. But tomorrow morning, have a guess who wakes me up? It's this guy again. So we found that 24 hours, different parts of the brain reset It's not an AA thing. 24 hours at a time, just keep sober. That's bullshit. It's like, it's not about the alcohol. Meetings will never keep you sober. It's great to meet other people, but there's serious work to be done pertaining to the mind and the brain. So we look at the mind. And this is what we found with the mind, with studying the test, the hospital tests we did and research and stuff like that. The mind sits inside the brain. The mind is power, energy. You can't touch it, feel it, and anything like that. But it sits inside the brain, hence the saying, mind over matter. We can program the mind every morning to program the brain from beginning with our breath work that resets the conscious brain. When energy in ourselves connects with another energy that we can't see, feel, touch, or hear, and we reroute behaviors and neural pathways, your DNA changes. And why is that important? Well, you're not the same person when you come to us as when you leave. And we guarantee that. We're the only company in the world that offer you a money back guarantee if you relapse while following our program. Unheard of.
Oh, that is amazing. So it's funny that you talk about AA and things like that, because I worked in treatment for many, many years, and I kept relapsing and struggling while I was working in treatment. And I was taught along the way, AA is what you do. This is what you follow. You don't do medication. You don't do other things. And I really, really worked hard at it. And I could never get sober. And people would always say, well, you're not doing something if you can't get sober. And I ended up going on Vivitrol, and I've been sober for 3 years since then. So I've always said that, I think different people can get sober doing different things, but it really was, for some reason, I couldn't get sober with just AA. And I loved the program. Like you said, I still do a lot of parts of the program because I think it helps you be a better person. But it did not stop me from drinking. 100% did not stop me from drinking. So I kind of, tell people that there's different things for different people. And some people do AA and it works great, but we can tell from rehab centers that something isn't working, right?
Yeah, definitely. I got sober in AA, and this is what I found. The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous is one of the best books I've ever studied pertaining to the recovery of an alcoholic, period. There's no other book like that. I studied Carl Jung University. There's no other book like it since, ever. Last 70 years, whatever it is. However, the meetings are terrible. There are piss and moan meetings. Oh, my cat's an alcoholic because he drank some of my husband's beer last night. We've just let it go. You see, what happens to AA is there used to be a 99% success rate in Akron and around the area. And what happened is the Betty Ford Clinic was born. And what happened to the treatment centers that followed that is after the treatment center of 30 days, 60, 90, they told everyone to go to AA. So we had all these, and the only requirement, I get all that shit, guys, but we allowed them to come into our meetings and talk shit like it was a therapy session. And what happened to Alcoholics Anonymous is it buckled under the weight. So I've traveled for 30 years around talking at, I don't know, thousands of AA meetings, and I'll tell you this. At any one time, in any place, 95% of people in AA are not alcoholics. They're not the real deal. But there's a place there to meet people, meet vulnerable girls. If you're gay, you meet some gay. Where else are you going to go to a men's meeting and be in the same room as 20 men? Come on. That's what I found with my experience. However, again, the book, the Alcoholics Anonymous is the book. This is what people don't understand. We are the fellowship of the book. Yet you go in lots of AA meetings and you don't even mention the book. You want to talk about some shit that, it's terrible. And again, I'm not knocking it, but this is my experience.
Yes, and I do agree that a lot of meetings have become kind of bogged down. And even in the internet world of like sobriety, there's a lot of people who are like, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is just quit drinking. And I'm like, that doesn't work for people that are alcoholics. You don't just quit drinking out of nowhere, but you may have been a person who was a problem drinker and that may have worked for you. But when you this stuff to people who aren't alcoholics, they think something is like wrong with them,
Oh my God, have you been reading my stuff? I know you haven't, but oh my God, that's the connection with me and you straight away. It's so true. You see, what happens is there's a thing called a hypothalamus inside the brain. alcoholics have this, heavy drinkers, abusers do not have this, but everyone wants to class us and to say, oh, Johnny next door drinks 2 bottles of vodka a day, he's an alcoholic. Let me tell you something, guys. Alcoholism is the only self-diagnosed illness in the world. 10 DUIs do not make you an alcoholic. A warning from the doctor does not. Trace your family history back 3 generations. You'll find it. If you don't, you abuse alcohol. And I'll tell you why. The hypothalamus from birth tells a human being to eat food and drink water to survive. That's its primary purpose, and he does a great job. What happens with the alcoholic hypothalamus brain is, after a period of time, probably years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, the hypothalamus turns around and tells the alcoholic to drink alcohol. That's why we can go days or weeks without food or water. When the brain is telling me to do something, guess what? I'm going to do it because I can't help it. That's why it was classed as a disease, is we can't help it. So when you're in that situation, there lies the classic alcoholic. But we get so confused today. Like you said, the heavy drinker, go to AA, you'll stay sober. Go to meetings. For the chronic alcoholic, meetings will not keep you sober. The book will. And other things. Listen, if you go to your attic every day and stand there and, you know, 1 foot in the air and singing hallelujah and keeps you sober, good. Don't let anybody else tell you you can't. Go do that. It's brilliant. But, you know, for the real alcoholic, you have to do work. You have to get rid of all the crap and you have to move forward. Otherwise, you'll relapse. And if you keep relapsing, you'll die.
It's funny that you say that about like going weeks without food, water, like the necessities, because when I was drinking, even like my face, my lips, they would be so dried out that like even chapstick wouldn't fix it. Like it was disgusting. And it's because I never even drank water. I literally would wake up in the morning, even when I would go to the bathroom at night, I would drink liquor because I was like shaky or sick or whatever. And it really was like, I didn't care if I ate. I didn't care if I drank. It was, I needed the alcohol to feel okay.
Yeah. That's another misconception, is we don't drink to get drunk. When we cross that line into alcoholism, because even alcoholics go through the mild drinking, heavy drinking, and then cross over.
Right.
We don't do it for enjoyment. We do it to feel normal. We do it not to be sick. It's a pattern in the brain that every time we wake, we have to drink. And that pattern is so strong because it's actually inlaid in the brain from birth because of generational things. What happens is very hard to break that pattern. So my dad couldn't understand why he kept saying to me, why are you doing this to your children? You've lost your children. Why don't you stop drinking just for your wife? For that, guys, it doesn't work like that. Okay, it works completely opposite to that. And it's a serious, fatal illness that will kill you if you don't get this under wrap. It will kill you. I was on the streets. I tried to commit suicide 7 times. On 2 occasions, I died on the streets of Manchester, England. You think that was a choice, guys? You think every time I look at a picture of my little girls and I haven't seen for 30 years, you think that was a fucking choice, guys? Not a choice. And I dislike these people that get on and go, yeah. Stop it. You know nothing about alcoholism. You think you might because you read a few buzzwords and, you know, you've been in treatment center 100 times, but you do not. If you understand what I'm saying, and obviously you do, but enough of this, you know, oh, yeah, he's not ready. He's not ready because you didn't give him the right tools to be ready. No matter what that looks like. We need to start looking at these people as really sick people, like you have cancer. And if you look at the points of illnesses that kill you, alcoholism is no different. You just can't see it. So if I have chicken pox, people go, oh, I can see your spots, you got chicken pox. And I go, actually, the spots are the symptom to my viral infection that can actually kill me as an adult. The alcohol is just a symptom to the chronic brain illness that I have that could kill me. It's the same thing.
Okay, so one thing that you had mentioned earlier that really actually it struck me because it was something that I didn't know. You said there's a difference between alcoholics and addicts, and you explained it a little bit, but can you go a little more into depth about that? What is the difference?
Now, alcoholics are born because of the predisposition we have to the ethanol in alcohol, okay? I'm not allergic to alcohol per se. I'm allergic to the ethanol in alcohol. So what happens is when I'm born, it's already predetermined that I have that alcohol gene that's been passed down. It can skip a generation, 2 generations even. My brother and sister were fine. Once you're born with that, the first time you touch alcohol, it's a ticking time clock. Now, you can stop in the early stages, but very few do because they keep it. It's fine. 90% of people that come to us with a staunch heroin addiction started in the doctor's office. So alcoholism has the allergy, okay? It has the predisposition, and the hypothalamus and the basal ganglia are default to self-sabotage. That is it. Addicts, they're made. They have the addictive personality. They take that first painkiller from the doctor, and then they can't get any more because it cuts them off. Or they go to the street, and then it goes down and it just gets crazy. So that's the difference. Now, both present the same. Don't get me wrong. Not one's better than the other. It's just the difference we see is that addictive personality, which once you get clean, I only hire recovered alcoholics and addicts because we are geniuses, guys. If you're listening to this and you just got sober, you'll know what I mean. We can put our mind to anything because we've been kind of letting our brain and mind run the show, and it's been devastation every time. You see, let's talk about the basal ganglia. It's the repetition part of the brain. So a pilot needs 10,000 hours in the air. So what happens is this keeps going round until he learns it. It's like driving a car. When we first get in a car, we start to drive it. It can be a little tiny car, but it feels like a bus. We've got to concentrate really hard when we take our first, second lesson or whatever. And then after a few months, when we pass our test, we can reverse down the driveway, waving to mom, calling the girlfriend, listening to music, and backing up at the same time. Why? But the basal ganglia has picked that up as a working part of the mind. Now imagine a clock face. Here's the alcoholic. 12 o'clock, they come off a bender. 10 after, guilt and shame, remorse and all that stuff. 20 after, the girlfriend or wife starts to talk to him. 1:30, they get the kids back and we're happy families again. 22, they buy that new car because they've just got that new job because we are geniuses. And at 10 till, we smash everything down on our head for not one reason. You cannot give me a reason. That's because around 10 to the hour, the basal ganglia falls and self-sabotages. And you'll find that when you're going for that job, that car, that house, that girl, just before you get it. Hence why alcoholics are great starters, terrible finishes. So this, let's say, if I worked at a factory, you know, this would be the boss. Oh my God, Rob, it's only 8 o'clock. You don't start till 9. Yeah, but it's okay. Oh my God, Rob, it's 5 o'clock. You're supposed to be finished at 4. Yeah. Give it a few weeks. 9:30, 10 o'clock. Where the hell is Rob? You know, because we never finish anything. That's because we self-sabotage at 10 to the hour.
I love that. So why is it that most people who have alcohol problems also have addiction problems if they're usually caused or start from different places?
You'll find out if the guy's primary disease is alcoholism, you'll find out people go, well, I'm not a drug addict. I mean, I can take drugs. I can take morphine. Doesn't bother me at all. But you sign that crossover because it's something to get out of our head. So what happens is we take drugs, little tiny drugs at the beginning, and it always ends up with alcohol. Or we take alcohol, it always ends up with drug. It's like a layover. Like I say, they both present the same when you go to the doctor. It's very hard to distinguish, but it is that predisposition. So when we drank, or when I drank, if cocaine was around, I'd take it. But I never got addicted to cocaine or drugs because my primary was alcohol. Drugs can never give me what alcohol could give me. And there lies the difference. You get drug addicts who might try alcohol or even start with alcohol. But the difference is they will go on to use drugs only and not alcohol only. And there lies the difference, the predisposition to the allergy. Alcoholism has the allergy. No other illness in the world has the allergy to alcohol. So this goes crazy. Drink. You know the score. Drink. And the only thing that's going to stop that is serious help or a drink of alcohol. When we take that sip of alcohol, bang, everything's good for 20 minutes, and then we go into blackout. It's just horrendous.
Yeah, and as we were talking about like problem drinkers or alcoholics, it's funny because I would talk to these ladies and they would be like, I wasn't sure forever if I was, drinking too much. And sometimes things would happen and I would think about it and I'm like, I knew from the time I was super young that I drank different than other people. Like in middle school, in high school, like I would see other people drink and it was fun, right? But it wasn't the end of the world. I was like waiting to drink for like till the weekend for something to come. And I would be drinking when other people weren't, or drinking all night when people had quit, or drinking in the morning.
It's
It,
that's the thing, yeah. That waiting for 5 o'clock so you can get home. And then eventually, no job, so I'm drinking at 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but that thing of waiting, that's what, see, I know people that drank more than me, but they weren't alcoholics, and this freaks people out. I know a guy next door, I drank a bottle, maybe 2 bottles a day, the big bottles. He drank 3 every day. You see him at the liquor store buying 3 handled bottles, and he finished that off in one day. He wasn't an alcoholic. You see, he didn't have the predisposition and the family illness passed down from generation to generation. What he did is because his dad was, abusing alcohol through the marriage, he picked it up as learned behavior and a measurement. So now he was drinking, now he drinks 3 bottles, but it doesn't make him an alcoholic. What makes him an alcoholic is that thought pattern you just talked about, that obsession we have with alcohol, that nothing else will matter. So I was trying to find a therapist when I first came to America. With the knowledge that I had, I needed a therapist that was an alcoholic or staunch heroin or something addict that would understand my thinking. So the first therapist I went to see, she had diplomas on the wall, and I said, "Are you an alcoholic, all right?" She says, "No." And I said, "You can't help me." And she said, "No, no, no, no. I've been to college for like 8 years. I mean, I know everything there is to know." I said this: if you had a bottle of vodka behind you and I was asking for it, what do you think I'd do? And she said, "Well, you still start arguing with me." I said, "I would take a knife out and repeatedly stab you in the face until I got that bottle of vodka." Well, she freaked out, Shana. She freaked out. I did a couple of, they all freaked out, called the police. Oh, it was horrible. I went into this girl, she must have been about 70 years old, had long, matted hair, and she was wise. And I told the same story to her. "I stabbed you in the face completely if you won't give me that bottle of vodka." And her reply was, "I stabbed you first in the face to make sure that I drank it first." There's my girl. There's my therapist. And until you realize that, you don't know what we go through. You don't know how much torture in the brain and the mind we go through on a daily basis. It's when people call me up, they go, "Dr. Robb, I feel like drinking." You know, my answer is, Shana, go drink. What do you want me to do? I can't. What? Go drink. Get it over with. If you die, you die. But you've either not done your work properly that we've shown you, or you just don't want to stay sober anymore. Either way, there's nothing I can do right now. Because when I don't know about you, Shane, but when I was drinking, call your sponsor before you pick up a drink. Really? I'm never going to call you and go, "I feel like a drink." What? I'd probably call you 2 days in and tell you some bullshit and argue with you. Still trying to convince you that I'm sober, by the way, while I'm slurring words and shit. It's crazy. It's like you have to treat this as if it's going to kill you. And it will.
Yes. So I think when we were talking about mental obsession, people really don't understand what that means. They just think of it as like you want to drink. And
Yeah.
something that always comes to mind for me is my parents sent me to rehab for 6 months when I was like 27. And I was really, really bad in my alcoholism. I probably needed rehab. It was a Christian rehab, whatever. I got out and I had a custody case. My daughter's father had filed for custody, and I was waiting for my hearing. And it was 1 week from when I got out of treatment. I was in there for 6 months, 6 months. And I drank the day before I was supposed to go into court. And I started with like a 6 pack of like Mike's Hard Lemonade or something. And I was like, I'm just going to drink one. I'm really stressed out. And I barely remember anything at that court date. And guys, this was years ago. But for real, I was like, how am I still having this mental obsession? And I haven't drank in 6 months. So people like connect it to once you have the first drink. But really, you have to be doing the work all the time.
All
Like
the
you have
time.
to continue the work. It's not
All
even
the
about.
time. Because them 3 parts of the brain reset every 24 hours. So the subconscious brain wakes us up. Now we have a cure for that. We have three things the morning you do that will stop that. But the subconscious brain wakes up every day and wants to kill us and make it look like an accident. You know, I remember when I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish my bottle of vodka. Then I fled to Spain an hour later because there was a warrant out for my arrest for attempted murder. I stayed in Spain for 6 months until all the attorneys sorted it out. She was fine. She came out of the hospital and she was great. I came home and she had all the stuff back. And I went, so the minute I opened the door, she said, looked to me in the eye and said, Rob, I love you till the day I die, but you're not going to kill our kids. You see, I'd left them in places I shouldn't leave them. I fell down the stairs and it had killed my child. I was driving home from London to Manchester on my second bottle of vodka with the kids in the back. I did some atrocious things. So she took them. I got hold of my attorney. I had a powerful business that, you know, paid people a lot of money to do the stuff I wanted to do. And I said, if you don't get my kids back, get tomorrow morning to court, get my kids back. And he did, give him a big check. He turned up at the door, gave my kids, I brought them in, I sat in front of the TV, I closed the door. I walked, now I'd been sober for 3 days now, 4 days, because I knew I was getting my kids back. But here's the deal. I walked into the kitchen and the thought hit me. Wouldn't it be great to have one beer to celebrate my kids back? Is the last thing I remember of the cat opening. 2 days later, the police kicked the door down. The children had been fed or changed diapers for 2 days. That almost killed him. There was a bottle of vodka around the floor, loads of them. So obviously I've been to the liquor store and back and let the girls in the house on their own, ages 1 and 3. And they kicked me out. I got to the stage. I woke up. They took my kids and I stumbled to the door. And Mom had the eldest, 3 years old. She was walking by them. And she had all the mommy's hand as they're walking. And my mother-in-law picked up the youngest. And they're walking down the path. And Charlie, the eldest one, turned around and said, Daddy, Daddy, please don't go. I'm crying. One of the police officers crying. Social services are there. The child protection. There's about 20 people outside the house. It was a disgrace. Halfway down the path, she turned around again. Got to look round and she's looking at Mommy's hand. She said, Daddy, Daddy, please get better. And as I got to the gate, she opened this big wrought iron gate we had, and she turned around one more time and said, Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it for them. I couldn't do it for me. I'm out of 6 weeks, 10, I don't know how long it was in super out. I was homeless. I was on the street. Everything had been taken away from me. Did you know the crazy thing about Shana? I still didn't think I had a problem. It took all of that and 14 months on the streets, dying twice, hurting a lot of people, putting myself in dangerous situation, getting arrested numerous times. In the UK, they call it drunk and disorderly. Yeah, that couldn't stop me. So when you're talking through that, it's really hard for someone to understand what you're going through inside the head. And that mental obsession is more powerful than anything else in the world. If I went into a bar, Shane, and I was asking for a drink, and the guy put half a pint of whiskey in a glass and a gun next to it, and he said, here's the deal, Rob, you drink that, you have to kill yourself. I take that bet all day long, Shane. All day long. As long as I finish that drink, I'd get that gun and blow my head off. That's how powerful it is.
So what's crazy is on this podcast, I've always promised that I would be super honest. And I love that you've come on here and be super honest. I once told a story about something that happened with me and one of my children years ago on here. And somebody actually called CPS on me. Now my daughter's over 18, so it wasn't, there's nothing that could be done about it, but it really just called to my attention how much people don't understand what people go through, and the fact that nobody's like bragging about the things that have happened, or nobody's excited about these things. The reason that we talk about them and bring them up, even though it's hella embarrassing half of the time that you've done this stuff, is so that people who are out there doing this know that there's help and that they're not alone. Because just because people aren't necessarily talking about it doesn't mean it's not happening. It's happening, and it's happening to people who you think are affluent, you think they're rich, you think they wouldn't do this, you think, right? It's not just happening to poor people out there who you don't necessarily care about, right? Or who you think are prone to that type of stuff. It's happening to people out there who are big in the community and, do big things, church people, every.
Yeah, 100%. You're spot on, Shana. I'm working with probably, I'm going to say top 10 just to make sure I don't out anybody here. Top 10 highest paid movie stars in the world. I have 3 of them on my books right now that I'm working with right now. I have a musician that's got more gold records than anybody else in the world right now. And they're about to die if they don't get this shit together. Every time I tell a story about my girls and a million other things, it's healing for me and it's the same for you. See, what I found from my journey, Shane, is a couple of things. First of all, nobody ever, ever, ever will comment badly or disrespect you that's doing as good as you. There are only 2 types of people in this world. The people that love you for who you are and the people that want to be you once you recover from this bullshit. So you got to be careful with, people can do what they want, but it's healing. So the way I look at it is God bless you for calling the child services. You probably did the right thing. 98% says that you don't. You're just jealous of Shana, so fuck you. And secondly, if one person stops drinking and gets the kids back from this podcast, Shana, we've done our job. That's where, you see, I'm at the age and situation now that I could retire tomorrow with millions and millions and millions of dollars in the bank and not give a shit about anybody. One of the reasons I still do this today is to save one life a day. That's what I'm committed to. So we don't do this because we have to. We do this because we got to. Because God saved me. And I used to hate it. God saved. It happened to me 30 years ago. When I had a huge spiritual awakening on the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of nowhere. That led me to an AA meeting with the guy that found me, that led to me a guy called John, who I spent with 12 weeks with and never could find again. So every time we tell our story, it's for me, and I'm sure you, is healing. And if you want to follow down that path, guys, write a book. If you can't put anything into, when you sat in front of a therapist or a coach or a psychologist or whatever, start writing a book. That's all I ask you. It's easy. Write a book. It takes you 3 months, bit here, bit there. If you're a girl, on a paper or voicemail, give it to your husband. That's what I did with my wife. And then get onto Amazon. It doesn't cost you any money. Publish that book. You're never going to get rich making a book, believe me. But healing power? Oh, my goodness. Here's how powerful the healing power is.
I definitely agree. So one thing that I really want to talk about, and you mentioned it earlier, is the trauma piece of alcoholism. And the reason why I bring this up is there's a lot of people, including myself. I always would, I had been to rehab 4 or 5 times. I always would go, and I was the good girl, right? Like, I'm nice. I would do my work. I would be quiet. Every time I would go to the therapist, it would be like, we'd talk about how I was going to integrate back into the community. We never talked about anything because I thought my life growing up was great. And my parents are pretty great. And they were super loyal to me. They cared about me. I never wanted to say anything bad about them. So I was always the one that kind of flew under the radar, but I was always the one who could never stay sober. Right. And I always thought I had no trauma until I went on somebody's podcast like a few months ago. And she was like, girl, this is trauma. This is trauma. This is trauma. So I think what we think of as trauma is literally like, I don't know, if you've been molested, you've been raped, you've been held up by a gun, like something like, you've been to war, right? But I learned that that's not necessarily what trauma is. So can you kind of explain that?
Like that? Yeah, it's nothing. It used to be years ago, we didn't know so much, but it's nothing like that now. First of all, everybody has trauma. That's not done the trauma work, childhood trauma. What you think you're doing this today, whatever it is, you're doing this today, you cannot match to what happened here. You cannot, without somebody outside coming in, using stuff like brain spotting, getting to the exact nature of what went wrong. Here was my trauma. I went through a lot of trauma. We grew up poor. I grew up on the projects, no money. I grew up fighting. I thought it was normal. If you're at home and you see your father coming into to the house most nights of the week, drunk out of his head, ends up in a fist fight with mum, you believe that to be the truth and you believe that to be normal. So when we're young, babies are born with 2 fears. Fear of falling, fear of loud noises. That is it. The rest are man-made. So what we see It affects how we feel, and what we hear, we believe to be the truth. Don't put your hand on that stove, it's too hot. We do it, ow, my mum's right. So we believe what mum says and dad says all the time. What we see, watch a sad movie, you feel sad. Happy movie, you feel happy. What you see in the household is what you'll attract when you leave that house. So a girl who's growing up and all of a sudden leaves the house for college or whatever will attract, remember the mind is power and energy, will attract the same guy that repeats dad's behavior every single time, to the point that if she finds a great guy who look after her, she will self-sabotage that relationship because she don't think she's good enough. Never tall enough, blonde enough, thin enough, or rich enough is our saying. So you have to look at the trauma and you have to look at the effect it has on us, because childhood trauma people hear things differently, and alcoholics hear things differently. What do I mean by that? True story, me and my brother stood on the kitchen table when we were young. Mum walks in, she says to both of us, "Get down off that table, you stupid idiots, before your dad sees you." My brother jumps down, I freeze. Why do I freeze? This is what I've heard. "Get down off that table." What I hear. And I hear this time and time again with the tests we've done, where you hear things different. Why? Because of childhood trauma. Now, what childhood trauma could possibly be in my lifetime? Well, my mum and dad could only afford 2 pairs of shoes a year for each one of us, me and my brother and sister. 2 pairs of socks a year. So towards this 4 to 5 months, I'd be walking to school with holes in my socks and holes in my shoes, or stepping on the snow. I have 102 pairs of sneakers. Pick that one. Okay, there's the correlation. As stupid as it may seem, there's the correlation. If there's a light thread in my socks, might be 2 days old, I throw them away. And there's all sorts of crazy. It's called learned behavior and enmeshment. Mum can pass depression down to us. Okay, and we go through life with the childhood. Now, no one's to blame here. Everyone's to blame their parents. This is why I don't agree with treatment centers. Let's bring the wife in and she'll tell us how bad you really are. Or let's blame the parent. No one's to blame. Nobody's to blame, you know. Here was mine as a young kid. Robert, it's my mom. How many times have I told you can't go to college like your brother? You're too stupid. Everyone laughed. I laughed. But you know something? That cut me to the bone inside. And only when I went back and we pulled that apart did I realize what an effect that had on me. You know, and he used to drop me off at their friends every Friday night so they could go out drinking at the pub. And as soon as the car was out the driveway, the man would tell us to take our clothes off and run around the house, and we're going to call it the naked runner game. And that's what we did. And he would tickle us, and his wife would tickle us naked, and molest us. I had molestation. I thought it was a game. That's the stuff I'm talking about, because that will, W-I-L-L in all capitals, screaming at you, affect your sexual relationships and intimate relationships as you grow older, unless it's gone back, uncover, discover, and discard what that trauma is all about. Then you can live free. And then the fear goes. Fear's not real. The fear, but it's not real. I said, it's not real, because you get, let's say I'm speaking. If you feel fearful, I'm scared of speaking, you step on the podium, gone. No fear. This is the inability to control the future. You don't have to control the future. Don't worry about the future. That's anxiety for me. Worry about the past. That's depression for me. Get out and do what you're supposed to go. Get the oxygen, the 4 chemicals in the brain. Do the 3 things every morning. The compliment 3 people during the day. Succeed. Take chances. Be happy. Smile at people, because you never know what we've been chosen to do this, Shana. And I don't care what anybody says. We've been chosen. For me, it was God. He pulled me off them streets, and I have a mission as to help as many people as that. Now, on the way, he's blessed me with money. He's blessed me with the best wife in the world, big houses, stupid cars that cost stupid amounts of money. I have fun. I'm laughing. The end of the day is, if you took all that shit away from me tomorrow and left me, my 2 English bulldogs, my cat, and my wife in a tent in a field that we don't own, I'll be just as happy then as I am today. It's not about the money. Yeah, I can walk away everything I have now, because when I get to heaven, what I call heaven, and the big gates are open, and let's say St. Peter comes up and leads me in, and I'm standing in front of God, he's not going to ask me? He's not going to ask me how much my car was. He's not going to ask me how many square feet my house was. Do you know what he's going to ask me? How many fucking people did you help, Rob? How many people did you help? And that's what people don't get about me. The stuff over here that nobody sees that I do. Oh, look at that flashy. He's always on planes. He said, that's not me. That's the stuff I do for a living. My personal life, you'll be aghast of what I do over here in my spare time. Aghast living till midnight out, doing what I do for other people. You'll be aghast. But that's my main deal now, is to understand the disease, understand what childhood trauma is, help other people that then go on to help other people and change the world. Because if you're not changing the world, what the fuck are you doing, guys? What are you doing? Go drink. Go use, man. Stop being selfish. It's not about us. This isn't. So while we've been having this conversation over the last 40, 45, 49 minutes, 22 people have died with this disease. And I tell people this all the time when I'm on sessions with me. We're waiting for you to get to shit together, Billy. There's 12 people just died, or you're messing around trying to get sober. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about you, Shana. It's about getting our stuff together, clearing it up, giving it all to him, and go out and enjoy life and help people. That's what it's all about.
Agreed. So for those people who don't have a Dr. Robb out there, if they wanted to get sober today, what would you tell them to do?
First thing I tell people to do is start a dialogue with somebody, parents, brother, sister, best friend. Be honest with them, sit down and go, hey, I'm drinking too much. By the way, if you ever have to ask somebody if you're drinking too much, you're probably alcoholic. So sit down and explain to them what you're going through, and then seek professional help. But just be careful who you seek. If a treatment center is taking little Johnny in for his third time after relapsing 3 times and still charging him money to go in there, shame on you. Shame on you. There's a solution to this. Start it. Message our guys, call the helpline. We're never going to charge you for anything pertaining to wives or husbands or, need help, or moms that don't know what to do. The stuff, just call. We'll put you onto somebody. We're never going to give you work. We don't ask for work. We have enough work. Thank you. We just want to help. So that's the first thing I would definitely do. If you like AA, get your ass over there, meet with a few people. If you like church, get over there, find some kind of higher power in your life, because unfortunately, guys, there is a mind power that connects with another power. That's simple as that. I don't know any true alcoholics or addicts that are atheists. I just don't. So there is something there. We've proven a lot of things in our lifetime through our constant study and research. And one of them is, it's a goddamn, it really is. Whatever you call God, Uncle Jimmy, the universe, the power of, what if somebody's bigger than you with an energy, then your energy can connect. That's how the human being survives. So there's no cure for alcoholism, just like there's no cure for food poisoning or the common cold. But what you can get is maybe a few steps to make sure that you don't get alcoholism again and you don't get food poisoning again. So we have a daily reprieve. A reprieve, by the way, in the Oxford English, because that's what it all started at the Oxford group, where 6 of the 10 people started. Went to Oxford University. A reprieve is a stay of execution. So we move forward every day.
So you started a nonprofit, or starting a nonprofit, right? Can you tell us about that?
The website is therobbkellyfoundation.org. therobbkellyfoundation.org. We opened it about 6 weeks ago. We have about $10 now that somebody donated. I'm asked again how many people we've helped and how many of them people don't donate to it, but it's fine. So we're asking everybody that hears me to donate $1. And if you can't donate $1, bless you for thinking of us and stuff like that. And if we can be of help you in the future where you need help, hopefully the foundation will help you. But if you can, give me $1. And here's what's going to happen to that $1. You donate it to us, and we get 20 people that's donated, let's say $5,000 between all of you. When your $1 is spent, because nothing is taken out from our staff, we all do this free of charge. Let's say your $1 goes towards a guy who's going to court to try and get his kids back once a week, and he's messed his life up. We'll pay for his suit. We'll pay for his 3 months rent. We'll pay for his legal fees. So your $1 might go into buying him a suit to turn up in court looking hot, decent. He will email you and thank you for your $1 and tell you exactly where it went. I bought this suit with your $1. It contributed to this suit. Thank you so much. I won my kids back for 1 day a week. Bless you. So it doesn't just go into an organization that you never see and never know where it's going, where the CEO is taking 90% of their donations. We don't work like that. We don't have anybody working on the foundation. It just money comes in, money goes out.
That's amazing. And you said the website was called what?
The RobbKellyFoundation.org, because we are 503 nonprofit. So you can claim it on your tax, guys. Just donate if you can. And then let's all help somebody else, guys.
I love that. So is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with today? Is there anything that make sure people know?
Definitely. So look, guys, here's the deal. I told you I didn't sell anything and I mean it. Here's my book, Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. Remember, that's the last thing my daughter said to me. I was wasted in that photograph when they took them off me. 4 years ago, she got in contact with me. I went over, she helped, she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. She's now my lead therapist in my Manchester office. 4 weeks ago, my youngest child, Abigail, got in contact with me. She's coming to see me next month. This is the book. I don't know how much it is on whatever, I don't care. Email me, message me, come find me. If you want to read this book, I'll send it you free of charge. I'll sign it. I'll pay for the postage and everything. So you'll get this book free of charge, my signature on it. So and read it. And then all I ask you to do is pass it on to somebody else when you finish reading it. And the second thing I want to add, which is really important for me, again, I know how people view me because how can you not be viewed with the TV and the notoriety I have and all that? And some people might get the wrong idea of me because sometimes I'm very aggressive and can seem to live this life that just forgot about everybody. Listen very carefully, guys. If you're at home, me and Shana just said it, if you're at home and you're in that place where you've got nobody to turn, you're dying of untreated alcoholism or addiction, you're about to think about suicide, all that stuff that we find ourselves in, 214-600-0210 is my personal cell phone number. Now send me a text, and here's what's going to happen. It doesn't go to my secretary, assistant, desk, anything other stuff, goes to me. I'm going to text you back, and I'm going to arrange a 15-minute pep talk that will change your life. And if it doesn't, I'm going to send you $100 for wasting your time, because we're in this together, guys. Okay? We're in this together. And if I can't help another human being go through what I went through and pep talk him into a better life, then what kind of guy? I might as well go drink.
I love it. I love it. Okay, one last thing, and we got to make this the funny, happy part. I got to see the outfit. So can you stand up and give us the outfit?
The outfit's not very good today. It's just kind of ordinary. It's just kind of normal because I'm going in the tea shop next door, so it's a pretty tea shop. But yeah, as you know, it's usually crazy.
Yes, I do like the shirt. I do like the shirt. Well, I thank you so much for coming on, and it's been an amazing chat. I've learned so much from you today. I could talk to you forever. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Shane. And I've got to tell you, thank you for what you do. And I want to do this on the podcast. Thank you for what you do, because you're absolutely amazing. Courtney is my media director. She goes out and she looks for podcasts that are changing the world. Now, whether they have one person viewing or a million, we've been either end of everything. When she found you, I looked at what you were doing and thank you. I know these podcasts can be lonely at times. They are for me. I look at the screen. Everybody knows who I am, but there's 3 people are watching. You know, it can get lonely. It can get lonely in life when we're trying to lead people out, but thank you for what you do. You're amazing. You're a great interviewer. You are beautiful. Absolutely. Congrats on the weight loss and everything. Say hi to the hubby. Guys, thank you both. Thank you, hubby, for looking after the dogs, and thank you, Shana, for interviewing me.
I appreciate you.
As we conclude this powerful episode of Controlled Chaos, a recovery podcast, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every listener who has joined us on this journey of resilience and renewal. These stories are shared with the hope that someone out there struggling in the shadows of addiction may find a glimmer of hope and inspiration. If you're listening and in need of support on your own path to sobriety, please remember that you are not alone. Visit my website at www.controlledchaoscoaching.com and schedule a discovery call today. Together we can explore the possibilities of healing, growth, and a brighter future ahead. Thank you for being a part of this community, for your courage in facing your challenges, and for believing in the power of transformation. Remember, there's always hope, and help is within reach. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, and keep moving forward on your journey to recovery. Love you mucho.